Welcome to Knitting Keeps Me Sane with Dr. Sane Knitter, Shelly. So I am recording on another perfect Pacific Northwestern day here. It's gray and a little bit threatening to rain, but beautiful and sort of mystical and all that stuff. But it's really beautiful, and so I thought, well, while the kids are out playing, I'll try to record something. And I thought I would start with something that I got for a birthday present on in the middle of the month when I had my birthday. And I had bought these for myself 6 months ago, and my oldest daughter was like, no, I'm giving that to you for your birthday, because I had mentioned that, oh, well, I'm just going to let myself have it as an early birthday present. And she said no. No one naysays my daughter. That's not really true, but I thought, well, if I really want it to be a Mother's Day a birthday present, I really should save it for my birthday. But I'm really terrible at making myself wait, just really bad. But with my daughter's help, I did in fact wait, and now I get to have them. So what I have, so you may recall that I had the size small sock blockers, and this is a beautiful fox carving in here. You can see that. And so of course there are two of them. I have a sock on the other one. And I sort of use them in the window as like decor, right? Because the carvings are just, the wood carvings are just really good. So since I knit socks for everybody in the family, and I'm the only one right now using the size smalls, and of course the children, some of the children have smaller feet than me. I don't have sock blockers for that, of course, but for the adult sizes, I have the entire range just in my own household. So I make that. And so I thought, oh, hey, let's just get all the sizes of sock blockers, and then they can block appropriately. Well, so I did. And I will add a note here where I got them, and then I'll put them in. I'll actually make show notes this time. Wow. Okay. So for the size medium sock blocker, little peacock symbol there, little peacock design. And I love these. And of course I got them from Etsy, a wonderful Etsy shop, which I'll put right here. I can probably stop repeating myself. Okay, those are the mediums, and then the size large. So the medium is what size my mom would wear, and what my daughter is going to be moving into. Her feet are growing incredibly fast. She's now wearing the same shoes that I am, and so I've lost 4 pairs of shoes to her. I should take it as hey, I could buy a whole bunch of more pairs of shoes now, but of course I don't do that. She's probably going to outgrow them in about 6 months. She's hitting another growth spurt. So these are the size that she is growing into, and what she'll probably have as an adult. Like she's going nearly into her adult size soon. I mean, she's 11, so I think by the time I was 14, I was in my final size of shoe, something like that, and it was one more than when I was 12. So that should put her right about here. And her spirit animal is the owl. We each have our own spirit animal, and she's the owl. And so basically I bought these to be able to put her socks on. So that's the large. And now we have what my oldest son, he's right now in the large, and his feet are swiftly moving into extra large. And then I just could not resist the sheepies. I couldn't resist the sheepies. So, so that's the extra large. And then moving on to where the size that I have to use for my husband. So here's the extra large. And I've got the mark on there to tell you what it is. And these are sea turtles. So his spirit animal is the turtle. So I thought that was appropriate. So right now, when I block my socks, I use the extra large for my husband. My son right now is in the size large. My mother is in the medium, and my daughter and I are in the small. But as they get bigger, we'll use the other sizes. So I just had to get them all. It was a birthday splurge, and I don't regret it. And I really love it. They're gorgeous. So they're up here on my window without any socks on them because they're just so beautiful. So those were my birthday present from my children to me. And they don't really mind if I pick out something for myself because they know that I get kind of picky. These are my knitting tools, right? These are things that I'm going to have for decades, right? Like forever. And so I get kind of picky because I know what I want, I know what I like, and so if I'm going to have it forever, I want it to be just the way I want. So so they very nicely just buy them for me, let me pick them out, and then they give them to me for holidays. So it's very sweet. It works nicely. So I thought next that I would show you some of the things that I'm working on, and I'm working on 3 scrappy blankets just continuously at a go, and I put all of my leftovers from all of my socks and sweaters and all of my projects. So I actually have 3 going. I have a fingering weight blanket which has just mitered squares, and I know a lot of people are doing these sort of things, and they have theirs sort of set, you know, like this, so that it's like that. I have mine set on edge rather than you know, flat. And that's the first time that I had seen a blanket like that is how she had arranged hers as well, and I just really liked that, and it makes the edge kind of interesting that it's not flat either. And I know that some people, when they finished their blankets, they had like half squares. I don't plan on doing that. I plan on just doing an I-cord edging and letting it have that jagged toothed edge, and I just think that's just sort of a really cool aesthetic. And so I finished the bottom, so I've done as wide as I want it to be. So here we go. It's really going to be just a one-person cozy chair blanket. And so now I'm going up from there. And you can see, stop ding-a-linging at me. Okay, you can see here that I go along in a row, and I've just been using, you know, leftovers from socks and fingering weight sweaters, and this is my fingering weight stash blanket. And then you can see here that I have a progress keeper from the Crazy Sock Lady, Scrappy Sunday. So I have that one, and that's what I had. And then I have another one. It's actually on this sock blanket as well. I don't know why. I think I used it for something. But this one says every Sunday is Scrappy Sunday. And so this one is, I prefer using fingering weight the best. It's easiest on my hands. My mom is the exact opposite. The thicker yarns and needles are better for her, but beyond about a 5 or a 6. It really feels like I'm using tree branches and it hurts my hands. But for her, it's the opposite. It's like she doesn't have to pinch for the little needles. And I know a lot of people feel the same way. So I think it just, you know, there are just two camps, right? So there's this. And whenever I look at this blanket, I can see projects that I did. So it really is a beautiful memento. Like when I was a kid and my mom made me a quilt with fabrics from outfits that I had worn, or a friend of mine got her father's shirts and made blankets, lap blankets for herself and other family members as a remembrance of him, and you know, it jogs their memory of wonderful times that they had with him. And that's really what this is. And I know some people, you know, call it like the cozy memories blankets, but you know, again, that's more on the side, on the flat side, and I have it like this. The person who had posted the design that I used when I had first seen it, the page is no longer available, but I've made notes of what I've done so that I can do it again in the future and not have to look it up or you know, review it. It's so simple, but like I had forgotten how many I had cast on, and this was like 8 years ago, and so I was like, well, how many had I cast on again? I can't remember. So instead of just casting on and seeing how many that was, or counting garter ridges, I looked up the pattern again. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know about myself. Anyway, so that was fingering weight. So now I have a DK weight. I don't typically use a lot of DK, but sometimes, although I did just recently order some DK weight for a sweater for my baby, but my mom uses a lot of DK and it's her favorite base, so I take her leftovers and then I can put it in this blanket. But what I have here are actually, so this is northeasterly. So here I have the top ones on scrap waste yarn. It's actually crochet thread, but to hold that. And so then I'm knitting this northeasterly. And for each of these, again, I know, you know, I can remember what projects that I did. Now these two were blankets of, let me hold it back. Maybe you can see it a little better. You can see some of the pinks and purples and yellows in there maybe. So washed out. This one and this one are parts of two different sweaters. It was the same design, but that I made for my oldest two years ago. I made them matching sweaters, but in different yarns. And we actually still have those sweaters. They just can't wear them anymore. They don't fit anybody right now. And then in between a size. And this one as well was I made it for all of them, but I don't have yarn from all of them left over. So that's from 3 of them. This was for my oldest child. This was for my oldest daughter, and this was for my then youngest daughter. So, and then this was from, these two were both from, no, this was from a sweater that I had made. It was a Lisa Ross pattern. I can't remember what it was, but I've knit a lot of her patterns too. But I do remember that. This one, in fact, my youngest daughter is wearing that right now. That has some stripes of this in it. And then there was another sweater that was mostly this for my oldest daughter because she loves yellow. So I've used this in 2 separate projects, so I can see what that is. Then this one is the first sweater that I completed for one of my children that I actually liked. It's called Water Lily, the base. It's no longer, it's discontinued, but it's just this gorgeous sweater. It's in the project notes. But I look at this again and I see projects that I made and things that I loved. Now, this one is actually my mom's leftovers, so I can see the hat and cowl and socks that my mom made out of these, and I remember her knitting on them. So I've got in this blanket not only memories of things that I've knit, but memories of things that like that my mother has knit and I've seen her working on. And there are leftovers that my youngest daughter has taken up knitting, and so her leftovers are going to be going in here. And so I have then memories of using that yarn to teach her to knit and of watching shows while knitting with her. So this is again, lots of memories here. And so this, of course, is northeasterly. It's a fairly, I started it a while ago, but I don't knit on them very regularly. And even on Scrappy Sundays, if I have any deadlines, I don't bring them with me. Or if we're out going to hike or something, I don't actually bring the Scrappy projects with me. I just bring what I'm currently working on, because that's where my head is, or I'll bring an easy pair of socks. But when we're at home and I know I'm going to be sitting for a while, I'll bring out my scraps to do. And that's why that's why I've been able to make some progress on those. But so this next one is, again, the mitered square, but with black as like window panes. So you can see here, these are worsted weight projects that I have done. Like I test knit a sweater in this that I still love, although I had some problems with the shoulders, so I fixed it, but I didn't fix it enough. It needs to be a little bit tighter still, so I need to go back and fix that. But I mean, I can see that here. This is Malabrigo Rios, and that blue is coming out way bluer than it does in real life. Anyway, it's Anniversario. And then these other colors, this is Glimpse. And this is You Are My Sunshine, both Three Irish Girls colorways, dyed in memory of my Charlie and all babies, lost too soon. So that I can see in that project that love for him there, and how a lot of us came together to say, yeah, I see you, I see your grief, and I've been there, I understand, and we'll avoid those stupid platitudes, right? But the love is still there, and the grief that we feel is a catalyst for all of us to appreciate the love that we have, including the love that we have for them. And so this is in my blanket. This is yarn that has been very special for me, that I've saved for the most special projects, and I wanted to put a little in here because, again, this is a project, this is a blanket for me and my memories and my life, and it's kind of like an autobiography in knitting, right? Just not just cozy memories, the good memories, the bad memories, the snapshots in time sort of idea of photographs, right? It's like a photo album, but of sort of a little more tactile than that. It's the physical. I knit it, I felt it, Anyway, and then this is from sweater that I knit for my eldest. This is from a Elizabeth Zimmerman baby surprise jacket, only the adult version. I knit this in Three Irish Girl Galenas Merino. I hope I said that right. Anyway, and then this is the leftover. You don't need to hear all of my memories. Anyway, a lot of these actually are Three Irish Girls. This is not. This is a. This one is a black trilly. Wow, just totally. There. It's a black trillium colorway. I can't remember. It's happy something. So those are but I decided to do another pattern. Did sort of this framing like this, like window framing, and it reminded me of stained glass, and it really charmed me. So I decided that for my worsted scraps that I would use this. And again, I don't use a lot of worsted, so this blanket will go a whole lot more slowly than my others. But, you know, my mom and my youngest daughter use those bases more. Middle daughter, she's the knitter, go a little more slowly. They don't go a little more slowly. What am I saying? They use more of that, but that blanket will go more slowly because I don't use a lot, and when I'm absconding with their scraps, I have to hide them. No, I don't. They let me have them because I cry and beg. And then I offer them chocolate, and they're like, okay. My middle daughter's current currency are the Kinder Joy eggs. So if I offer her that, she's okay, you can have some of my yarn. All right, and now I'm going to have a sip of coffee because, yes. And if you see here, I knit so I don't kill people. This truth. Okay. Oh, I need coffee. Every mother knows. Okay, so I know I said that I wasn't going to be doing any stash enhancement, but I did allow for the possibility that if I could find the perfect yarn to go with my self-striping yarn that I had picked out from Mustache Yarn, the Mordor Fun Run, for the Bright Axis tee. I found some. So it was a couple weeks ago, the Crazy Sock Lady had talked about MandisMakings and her share a pair socks. So I went to look, and she was sold out, of course, because, you know, the Crazy Sock Lady posted about it, so of course they're gone instantly. But I had a look at her other yarns, found something perfect. Sorry. So here, I'll show you so here is how it arrived to me in a really nice mesh bag, which I'm actually going to use to re-gift some things to my sister-in-law, who is really sweet. I like her. Her children are knitworthy. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you just got to wrap it up nicely. So MandisMakings, Amanda. So she had this colorway listed, and I thought it looked, so my phone, I have it set just right that I know that if the picture taken and posted is true, then with the settings on my camera, that it should on my screen should be true as well. I'm a little bit anal about these sorts of things, but if what they're posted on is true, then what is broadcasting to me will be true. I played around, but anyway, with the settings. So here, MandisMakings, and you can go to MandisMakings.com. She's on Etsy as well as MandisMakings. And I saw this beautiful chocolatey brown, and I thought this would be fantastic because there's also some of this brown in here, and I thought, oh my goodness, that color, just sort of the tone of it and the pink versus gray really looked like it should balance pretty well with this skein. And so I thought, oh, let's try it, because it just, the brown itself just looked to be a beautiful, beautiful chocolate, and I can't resist a really earthy, sort of more rosy than yellow brown. And this is a perfect chocolate, a perfect complement to the Mordor Fun Run. And when I looked on her listing, it only listed one, and I needed two. And they needed to be identical so that I'm still going to do helical knitting to make sure that there's no weird pooling from shading or whatever, because it is hand-dyed yarn. But I wanted them to be as close to identical as possible. And so I asked her if she could do, because she'll do special dyes, she'll dye to order. And I told her, when I ordered this, I said, okay, and this is called Coffee and Chicory, which, as we all know, coffee with chicory is really good. Really good. I don't have any chicory. I should get some. So I put a note in there that I needed two of them, and could she do a dye to order for me, pretty please? And she did. And she came back and said, hey, I had pulled another skein of this for myself and then never used it. Do you want that? And then I can just mail it out and you don't have to wait. Yes, pretty please. Yes, I do. And so now I have it. And I just need to cast this on because I need rainbows. When you're in the Pacific Northwest and it's beautiful and it's gorgeous, insert photo here of beautiful hiking, and it's beautiful and it's mystic and it's mythic of the ages, right? It's just really awe-inspiring, but the gray can get to you after a while. And we had beautiful full-on sun for a couple days this week, so that was really nice. But when you are living without the sun, as beautiful as it is, you need rainbows. And here you go. So I will be casting that on for me very soon, very soon. Not today, but soon. So then that is my stash enhancement and to be cast on very soon. I love that. So I thought that I would then talk to you about what I'm knitting now. I have 5 projects on the needles. I am not a monogamous knitter. Knitting is not marriage. Like, I can cheat. I can look with lust in my eyes at yarn and patterns. So I have a few things that I'm working on, some more than others. I want to talk first about what is giving me the most joy right now, which is the Tulip sweater by Ririko, and the yarn that I have is 6 and 7 fiber, the alfalfa base in emu egg, and I mean it's inside out right now. Right now, because that's how I knit. But I will flip this right side out, and it's of course on the needles, and I'm working one of the sleeves right now because I'm messed up. I hate when I mess up, but I sort of messed up a little bit, and so you can see here that I'm knitting this one sleeve, and I'll explain how I messed up in a minute. But this is my Dunder Knit Along cast on. Back in November, she was, right when they were talking about going into lockdown again, and all the deadline knitting of Christmas, and she was saying, okay, you can blame me for all your cast-ons, Christmas deadline, all that stuff, blame me. So this is I blame her, and thank you for being that friend. So here is my Tulip cardigan, so you can see the one sweater there, and this is as far as I've gotten. And I had cast it on, and I had gotten down to about here, and in the last 2 weeks I've done the rest of this. And I've separated for the sleeves, and now I'm going down the sleeves. Let's show this side with the pattern there. It's got a central lace pattern here, if you can see that. So it's got this pattern from the raglan sleeve. Gosh, that's blown out. So it's got this pattern here in this mock cable, and then it's got another tulip motif. You can't really see that, but anyway, this is my Blame Dunderknit cast on, and I absolutely beyond love it. This is actually the front, but I don't know if you can see. This is probably my favorite colorway in quite a while. It's got the beautiful, there you go. That's a very true depiction of the colors in there, and I absolutely love it. That tealy green with flashes of brown, black, and a nice neutral cream in there, and that is absolutely fabulous. And that's 6 and 7 fiber alfalfa. I recently found her and love her yarn. Love. I have much covetousness in my heart for her yarn. So there's that. And all of that is being held in this bag because, astrophysicists have to have the space bag. And so I love it. So I had to have that. And now the next project that I'm working on, I already talked to you about. What is that in there? Oh, that's that other project. I forgot about that one. Okay. So the other thing that I'm working on is the sleeve for my mother's Lacy Day cardigan pullover, and you can see that's not true at all. Let's see. That's almost. Let me see if I can adjust. Let me see. Well, that's almost. Let's see. The bluey green is not. The green is not really coming up in there. Let me see if I darken it a little. No. Okay. Well, there's a little more of a tealy green coming through in there than shows up here. But the blues and purples are coming out nicely. And this is Malabrigo Rios, Wales Road, and the lace is Nudie Boonies by Serial Knitters, Cherry Creek sock for the lace. So I just started the sleeve. I did the lace portion. So I mean you probably saw the Christmas knitting episode where I showed you 3 of them. So same thing, but for my mom. And the Lacy Day sweater by Caitlin Shepherd, I just really like it on. It just looks so beautiful on. It's just a very classic sweater, and the kids have really been wearing, the girls have really been wearing it a lot, and they've been wearing it inside and outside. Inside, if it gets a little cool, they just throw that on, and they feel really good. If they're going outside, they put on a heavier shirt underneath, put that on top, and unless it's really wet and really windy, they're just fine in that. Otherwise, they'll just throw on like their raincoat over it. If we're going to the snow park, they'll put their heavy coat on. So, these. Okay. So I had shown these. These are my Solstice socks by Kay Jones. But I had to frog it because somehow, here's the color, because somehow my gauge was just really off. And it's really ridiculous because it's my normal you know, sock. It's Earl Grey fiber. There we go, Earl Grey Fiber Company, Darjeeling sock, in the colorway Peppered, and I just love it. But the gauge somehow for me, I've just been having some gauge issues, so it was just way too tight. And my go around for if my socks are a little too tight was my oldest daughter. Her feet are now a little bit bigger than mine. So if it's too tight for me, it is definitely too tight for her. And then my middle daughter is not, her feet are still much smaller, so it's not going to work. And I wanted these socks for me, the winter solstice socks, so I frogged it. That's what this was that I had forgotten. So I don't know if I want to cast it back on because it was such a cool pattern, but I really want to do Kay Jones Dunfrock. If you haven't seen that, go look. It is so beautiful. I really want to do those, but we'll see. We'll see what I'm gonna do. Anyway, so I thought I would show you the sweater that I started almost a year ago for my middle son, and it's still plenty big for him to wear because I had planned to make it for him for Christmas. It is the Expectation pullover by Christina Harris. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sweater. And my version, I am on the body now. And again, you can see I like to, you know, I use needles that are much too small just to knit in the round, you know, so that I can just keep going with it with the needles loaded. But anyway, so you can see here the blues. So I have here, oh, that's showing up nicely. Okay, so you can see here that I've got two things of blue. And the color work here is this is just a blue, and this is a blue with stellina that's darker. So you can see that it looks like swirls. And so I'll be knitting up in this blue, which I've got one skein of, and I have the rest of the body to get into, and I'm gonna have to stop and switch into a different one. And so these are all Schmutzerella yarns. This is, let's see, this is Spectacular with the stellina that I have here. Okay, so that's the Spectacular, is the darker color, and that color is Time and Relative Dimension in Space. TARDIS, right? Okay, had to. And then this blue that's supposed to be, you know, the water is not for very much longer. Also on her, well, this is on Dude, which is another fingering weight that she has, so not with the stellina. And so I have those, but then I also have, so I have two, I might have enough. Anyway, so I'm doing helical knitting on that. Let's take it out of the bag so you can see it. Here we go. It's not that bright, it's way blown out. It's just not, it's really coming way blown out. But anyway, so I'm doing helical knitting on that. I'm not sure I have enough to do the entire sweater the way that the design is called for, because it's supposed to go up and then use another color at the top for color work, which is going to be in this. And that's pretty true. That's pretty true right there. For the flames of the dragon's breath. And then in the bottom portion is where the flames are causing the water to have ripples along the surface from the breath of the dragon. So I'm not entirely sure I have enough yarn. I'm sort of, and the reason is because, well, total yardage wise, it should be fine. I'm not entirely, like, the individual color might not be enough. So I've picked that back up again. We're gonna just go ahead and play yarn chicken, and if I really, really am sure I'm not gonna have enough, then probably what I'm going to do is at some point stop up here just before the addition of the sleeves and knit in a darker blue with the color work. So just a little bit before that, to sort of try to show a difference between the sky and the water, and then see, you know, the fire's breath over the water, and then at some point, you know, there's the water and then there's the sky. That's what I'm thinking. He loves the idea, so we'll see how that works out. But really, it's the color work went so quickly, and now I'm on, sorry for the crinkling noises, but now I'm on the portion where it's just plain stockinette, which is good, but it's not as fun. I just have this thing, like, I just really love color work, and it just goes so quickly. So the next, I am still working on, yeah, there's really nothing to show there, but I've just got the cuff of the other sock, the other one of these that I test knit. So I've got the other one on the needles, and that is, that's by Lisa Ross. I call it the Ginny sock, but that is not the name. I'll put the name down here somewhere, or up here, or over here, somewhere. My daughter will insert this for me, because she's awesome. And so then I have started the sock, another pair of socks for my husband in these. This is, I don't even remember what these are. So this is just some sort of variegated orange, and then the black, and those are on and 9-inch circulars, and that's the rye socks pattern. And then here's the other one. So you can tell what, so you can tell I have a few projects, the socks, that I work on when, like, I'm putting the kids to bed and I'm just sitting there making sure they stay in their beds. The socks that I don't even have to look at, I can just go, go, go. Okay, now this is the bottom leg of a pair of pants that I'm making for the baby, and it's on Sublime Baby Cashmerino Silk. Ah, that's so blown out. Seriously, Sublime Baby Cashmerino Silk 4-ply. And the pattern that I'm using is called Sophia, and I mean, it's not really as feminine as that, in my opinion. So I had put it down to finish some other knitting, and here is where I have, and this is the bottom of the leg, and this is this beautiful cable, and it's reversible. I've made it so that I can fold it up like that, and the color is just a sort of a bluey gunmetal gray blue. It's not really showing up here at all. Well, anyway, I'll update Ravelry if you want to go look at it. But anyway, this is just a really nice thick knit. He's gonna love it because he loves to be warm, and so when we go out on, like, our hikes and things, he can wear that. And here's my little owl progress keeper. So this is where I was when I left it off, and this is what I did over the course of, you know, like 2 or 3 days, and then I've left it and not picked it up since then, because I picked up the Tulip pullover again, and I have knit on nothing else since. I just am in love with it. Okay, so the problem that I had okay, with the Tulip sweater. I'm doing helical knitting because it's, you know, they're hand dyed and variegated, and I'm knitting around and knitting around and knitting around. And you can see that there is patterning on the sides, so I have to stop, pay attention to the patterning, knit to the other side, and go, right? Well, I'm so used to just going, and if I'm sitting there, again, just watching the children do an activity, or because sometimes with our homeschooling, I will put on a video for them to watch, and then I talk to them about it, and so I'll have some knitting that I don't necessarily have to pay too close of attention to because we're talking, right? Now you wouldn't think Tulip would be a good one for that, would you? Well, I was just so addicted. I'm just like, I'm so in love with it. I really just have to work on it. And I dropped one of the two colors I was knitting and alternating rows with. So I realized it pretty quickly, but it was still 4 rows below where I had last had the yarn, and I'm just not going to frog those rows to then be able to pick it up and keep going. That is not me. I mean, I am anal perfectionist enough that if that were color work and it was a mistake, I would absolutely, I'd tick back those 4 rows. You know, I'd be willing to do that. But when it's just a matter of helical knitting and you can't, like, I looked at it and it really just didn't look like there was any kind of transition there. So I just said, okay, I'll just start now. I'll add in one of the other balls now and then keep going. But I wanted to use that. I want to still use the rest of that yarn. So I said, okay, I'll just start picking up and working on the sleeve. Well, the sleeve, so okay. So since I've got it the right side, the proper way out anyway. So I had dropped it back up in here, and so then I've added in another skein down here. So I did, you know, a few rows with something, and then with this, you can I'm stabbing my knitting. Then you can see with this, here is where I had split off for the sleeves here. And then I used about 5 rows, 6 rows, just one color, and now I'm alternating 2 colors, doing helical knitting on the sleeves. I'm that person. So I may have thrown my knitting when I realized, I did, when I realized that I had made this kind of mistake. But I'm just like, okay, look, you're alternating skeins anyway. Just pick another ball and just start alternating with it and just relax. It's supposed to be fun. You know it's going to be beautiful. You love this yarn. Just take a chill pill. So I did. I chilled out and it's working out. So now that I'm no longer so angry at it, I'm working on it again and making pretty good progress. But for a while there, it was like almost 400 stitches a row. So those were some long rows, but now that I've split off and like the sleeve is like half done now, I'll finish that and I'll just go ahead and I'll go and do the other one. But I mean, as you can see, I typically knit it inside out so that the outside fabric is inside while I'm knitting and doesn't get roughed up and whatever, I don't know. And it just sort of creates a little extra ease there for any transitions. Like between the needles, because I'm doing magic loop on the sleeves, and that seems to help smooth it over, but I still have to pull it a little tight. But then if I pull it too tight, so if I do it on the outside, pull tight as I'm going to the next needle, that extra give there isn't too much that it creates any laddering effects. But if I do it on the right side, sometimes it can be a little too tight. And so since I can just go and do that when it's inside out without having to give it a second thought each time I change needle, that just works out for me. So that's all of my knitting, and you can see how I've got really different projects. I've got 2 of them that are straight up stockinette right now, and which is why they're sort of put off to the side. and are more like car knitting, or you know, if we're going on a hike, I'll bring that with me because it's just stockinette, you know. And with socks that don't have any patterns, it's just plain vanilla, again, I'll do that on like a hike or something. I'll take that with me. So, but then I really love color work, so I've got some of that, and then I really love just the little cabling and lace on there. So I've got a lot of different things for whatever mood I'm in, and so that's how I do my knitting. I tried to be monogamous. I really did. I really did, but I just couldn't do it. I'll be done in a minute.
Okay.
The baby's here.
You sure you don't
All
want to show the baby?
Yes, come here.
Okay, bye.
And there's my baby. Hi. You saying hi? You like that light? Yeah? Who's there? Is that us? Alright, so I'm done for today. If you enjoyed my video, please please give us a thumbs up and a follow. Bye. Say bye-bye. Can you see us? You say bye-bye. So, I had to just jump on here real quick to fess up. I have some stash enhancement, which hopefully will not be in stash for very much longer. I know. I said I wasn't going to buy more yarn. This is me we're talking about. I will try to not buy more yarn, which means that I won't, you know, go crazy. But when I see a good sale from one of my favorite yarn dyers, I'm probably going to cave. But I will do my best not to go overboard. So I have from A Busy Life. She gave me a little stitch marker. I'll give you the back here. Nanette Bergerson. And the first colorway, and these are both DK, and she just had single skein sale. Light teal variegated, which, I mean, I have this thing about teal lately, and this is coming up a little more blue, but it really is sort of a true teal. And so that's really just adorable. It's her DK base. And then Trelawney, with, you know, these really rich brown, earthy browns, and the burnished gold. And then over here you can see some, well, it's hard to see here, but it's teal speckling. And so I'm going to use these two together and stripe a flax pullover for the baby. And I don't usually use DK, but I find that DK works better for baby sweaters because they tend to pull less than fingering weight, and so I like to use a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier weight yarn for that. So I am going to cast that on hopefully this week, I hope. And then the leftovers just get to go straight into the northeasterly, right? So stash enhancement, it hopefully it won't be in stash for long, more than a couple days. So anyway, I had to fess up. There we go. I was bad, but I'm just gonna cast it on, you know. I'm not worried about project monogamy. It's just not. I try, but I get bored with one thing too much, or I get to a stage where it's not portable and I just can't take it anymore. So I'm just gonna go with my flow of having a couple different projects around that, you know, I've got them in stages where I can just pick them up and go till a certain point, and then I have to pay attention. Then it rotates into my quiet knitting time, if I get any. So, you know, and then I get those. So I have my reasons for not having just one project going, and you know, it's my hobby, but I make things for my children and I make things for myself that are very useful. So if I have a bunch of them going at once, they're all going to get done unless something goes wrong. And really, it's not too often that I end up frogging projects. So if it just takes a little longer because I'm working on a bunch, that just means that I end up with a couple things done around the same time, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as I'm enjoying it. So I'm just going to let myself continue to cast on things as I want and not worry about it. I'm just going to try to keep it reasonable and try to knit these things. Hope springs eternal. Good night.